I think the biggest hurdle in writing is anxiety. For most students, even my own personal experience when I was an undergraduate student, that when it comes to writing, there is just a lot of anxiety about, do I use the right word, or anxiety on spelling, or anxiety on achieving the number of pages that an instructor is asking for, especially for students who have not been in school for some time. It's actually one of the strongest hurdles for a student to overcome. And what I find that's very helpful for them, and I try to, in my own teaching, is to encourage them to be themselves. And that, we have a backspace on the keyboard. We have an eraser on the pencil if they do it old school, but you always can go back and correct. And that tends to help students as well. And then something that I try to enforce and reinforce is that they have a voice. They have words, they have feelings, they have perspectives that's very valuable to share and that others don't know. And when students realize that, and when they have some coaching along the way on how to write, they gain more and more confidence. And as they do, the anxiety tends to dissipate, and to know that they actually have something to offer and that they actually can produce one page. Steve Martin once said that success in writing is simply having words on a page because you began with a blank page. So that's success in writing, and that helps a lot in overcoming anxiety. And then also in the writing process that really helps students, and most, if not all, of our writing assignments are centered on this, is something they're passionate about, something that they have an emotional attachment to. So whether it's a 3-page essay or perhaps it's a research essay that may seem daunting and may raise the anxiety level because it's asking for 8 pages, we ask them, what's something that you want to spend time researching and writing about? Because what we find with students is that if they have an emotional attachment to a topic, then those feelings and words just come out, and it really helps them in terms of finding confidence and getting words on paper. And for example, for me, whenever the topic of the power of stories, the power of narratives comes up, that's something that I'm ready to jump out of my chair. I'm currently working on that for my DMin here at Bethel Seminary about the power of narratives when it comes to our own spiritual formation. And the topic of stories is something that right away I get very excited about. And I find that's true for most of our students, that maybe it was something from their childhood, it might be something vocationally they're very passionate about. They might be something very passionate about in terms of parenting. It might be something that perhaps their son or daughter has a health condition and they want to write about that. And when that happens and there's that click, that really elevates and enhances the writing process. Next, when it comes to the writing process, a couple of really important areas that I think tend to be overlooked by students is the importance of the purpose of the essay. They're being asked to write a narrative essay, which is a sort of autobiographical essay of an event in their life, a circumstance in their life that they then share a lesson, a takeaway from that. Or is it an argumentative essay? And as soon as students understand the purpose of the essay, it really shapes how they're going to approach it. And for example, when it comes to an argumentative essay or a persuasive essay, is to pick a topic that's debatable. And that makes a big difference. So understanding the purpose helps a lot in terms of the writing process. Otherwise, if they're writing and not understanding the purpose of the assignment and the purpose of the essay, it makes a big difference. And then also, a very important area too is, who is the intended audience? Is the audience their classmates? Is the audience the professor? And understanding who the audience is impacts the way they write, especially if it's a formal essay that they have to write to their professor. Well, that's going to impact how they write and how they approach it. If the writing assignment is a forum post and it's to their classmates, well, that's going to have a more informal approach. And that makes a big difference in terms of how they write that and how they go about it. Also, when it comes to the writing process, some guiding questions that I find very, very helpful for students. The first one is, why does this matter? Why does this matter to me? Why does this matter to my intended audience? And answering that question makes a big difference. And then next, is this something that I'm personally interested in? When I think about a topic and I'm about to write about it, is this something that I have interest in? And also, will my audience have interest in it as well? And then another question that we would ask for, a guiding question for the writing process, is what do I hope to learn or discover when it comes to this topic? And is my thesis written in a way that it's going to lead me towards learning about a certain topic? And I find that for students, asking that question can make a big difference, especially when it comes to an area where they have a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of experience, but there's more out there, and that can really give them some ambition to really dig in and find out more about that topic. And when it comes to the writing process, there's actually a few different types of writing. There's pre-writing, and that's where I encourage students to simply take a piece of paper or their laptop or their tablet, electronic tablet, and simply just let it fly. We call it free writing. And it's not caring about punctuation, it's not caring about spelling words, it's not caring about how it's formatted, but just getting words and ideas down. And they may not be actually in logical sequence. So they may be talking about perhaps their assigned topic for an essay or a forum post, but then all of a sudden they're talking about the weather, they're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, or they're talking about what they're doing for the weekend. And then invariably we find then they come back again to the topic and actually begin to ask questions sometimes. They begin to enhance what they had written earlier. And it really, in a way, takes off the chains when it comes to writing. And that makes a big difference. And I really encourage students to begin with that free writing. And then next is to move into a draft form. And that's a pre-draft, where they really sit down and write down, again, informally, some of the basic sections of the essay. It might be the body, it might be simply the introduction, or maybe it's conclusion, but not having the pressure to hammer out introduction, body, conclusion all in one shot, but actually just to have some drafts of that. And then eventually it makes its way into more of a formal essay, where they begin to put an essay together and put the pieces together, and actually to go it through in sequence and be able to put together a finished essay. And I find that as students approach that sort of in those three steps, it really gives them the confidence that they can do it. And sometimes when it comes to that sort of finished essay, we're not really quite sure if it's really finished. Sometimes you have to revise it a few times. And one of the things that we do here at Bethel that's so helpful, that where we have students give feedback to each other, whether it's online or face-to-face, where they see samples of each other's writings and give an encouragement and give some suggestions as well. And I find that peer feedback really makes a difference, not only of their words to the other student, but also we give them prompts to what to look for and given some suggestions to the other student. And by doing that, studies have shown really it reinforces what's being asked in the essay. So the one who's actually giving the feedback, then for them, they walk away knowing what's being expected in their writing. We actually see improvement in doing that. And in closing, when it comes to writing, writing's hard. It's challenging. It doesn't come the easiest for people, and it didn't come easy for me as well when I was an undergraduate. And I was not a very good writer. And I was at the University of Minnesota and had an English comp class and didn't do very well, got a C-. And then my next writing class with a professor named Professor McNamara, I turned in an essay, and when I wrote this essay, I thought, well, I did so poorly in my previous class that if I simply enlarge my vocabulary and consult a thesaurus and use multisyllabic words that I had no idea what they meant, I'll do well. It didn't work. And I still have the essay at home. And what he did was an amazing thing. It was a gift. He read the first page and he drew a line through half of it. It said, "I stopped here. I have no idea what you're saying. Please see me." And the fact that he invited me to look at my writing and to help me, and he actually spent time and gave me feedback, detailed feedback that I had never received in my previous English comp class at the U of M, or even in high school, but that this professor cared enough to actually sit down with me and give me feedback and help me along the way, actually gave me the courage to keep trying. And I think when it comes to the writing process, if there's anything that I would underscore, it's actually having courage to keep trying, even when it doesn't turn out the best, but keep trying. And I'm reminded of the famous quotation by Winston Churchill that success is never final, failure is never fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And that's something in our writing process that we want to voice, that it's the courage to continue that counts, because it takes many attempts.